It's looking more and more likely that we're going to be getting a college football season in some capacity in 2020. So over the next week, I'm going to be releasing videos with the top players from every team in every Power 5 conference. We're going to be kicking off this series with the Pac-12. Before we get started with today's video, make sure to click that subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. One of the best kept secrets in the country at the quarterback position, Jayden Daniels heads into his sophomore season for the Sun Devils. He was named to the Davey O'Brien Award watch list, which is presented annually to the nation's best college quarterback and is the oldest and most prestigious national quarterback award out there. After becoming the first true freshman quarterback in program history to start the first game of the season, Daniels would go on to be named an ESPN Freshman All-American after throwing for 3,000 yards, the 11th most in school history, with 17 passing touchdowns in 2019. Daniels, who ended the season with only 2 interceptions, the fewest in school history by a quarterback throwing 300 or more passes in a season, led Arizona State to 8 victories in 2019, including wins at number 18 Michigan State, at number 15 Cal, and versus number 6 Oregon at home. Daniels' 5 300-plus yard performances last season are tied with Andrew Walter and Rudy Carpenter for the most in a single season in ASU history. In addition to the ESPN honor, Daniels was also Pac-12 honorable mention Freshman Offensive Player of the Year and was an FWAA Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year semifinalist. Colin Schooler has played 37 career games for the Wildcats as he enters his senior season. Over his 3 seasons, he's racked up 312 tackles, including 46 for loss with 9 sacks. He also has 4 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and 2 forced fumbles. He's also racked up a number of accolades, including 2019 Pac-12 All-Conference Honorable Mention, 2018 Associated Press All-Pac-12 First Team, 2018 Pac-12 All-Conference Honorable Mention, and the 2017 Pac-12 Freshman Defensive Player of the Year. He's the leader of their defense and looks to finish his Wildcat career off with a bang. This one doesn't really need much explaining. For those of you that don't know, Penei Sewell is the best offensive lineman in the country and maybe one of the best we've seen in recent memory. If the 2020 season is played, there's a good chance he'll join Nebraska's Dave Rimington as the only player to win the Outland Trophy Award twice. In fact, I think right now I'll guarantee he wins the Outland Trophy if a season is played. The 6'6", 330-pound junior became the 3rd unanimous first-team All-American in Oregon history last season, joining LaMichael James and Marcus Mariota. 2 Heisman Trophy voters even included Sewell on their ballot last year. He finished his sophomore season as the top-rated offensive lineman in Pro Football Focus's 6-year history of evaluating all players, and is projected to be a top 5 pick, potentially the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Here's what his former teammate Shane Lemieux, who is currently on the New York Giants, said of Penei Sewell last season. "Long after I'm retired, I'll be telling my kids I played with that guy. The best player in the country is who the Heisman is given out to, and this year, he's the best player in the country, in my opinion." Arguably one of the top defensive players in the Pac-12, HAMICLAR Rashed Jr. was everywhere for the Beavers in 2019, as he's already been selected as a preseason All-American by Walter Camp Football Foundation and the Sporting News. He was also chosen as one of the 42 student athletes for the Lot Impact Trophy watch list. Rashed Jr. led the nation with 22.5 tackles for loss in 2019 and was tied for 3rd with 14 sacks. Both totals also set Oregon State single-season records. He posted at least 1 tackle for loss in each of his first 10 games, only one of 3 players in the entire country to accomplish that feat. Rashed Jr., who has already graduated with a degree in public health, was selected as a first-team All-American in 2019 by Sports Illustrated, The Athletic, and Phil Steele. He was named 2nd team by Walter Camp, CBS Sports, and the Football Writers Association of America, and the Associated Press. He has 121 tackles over 3 seasons for the Beavers, including 35 tackles for loss with 16.5 sacks. This was one of the more difficult options in regards to the Pac-12, as there were a number of players who could have cracked the list for USC, but I gave the edge to Drake Jackson. Jackson, who enrolled at USC in the spring of 2019 after graduating a semester early from high school, was impressive while starting at defensive end as a first-year freshman in 2019. Overall, he racked up 46 tackles, including a team-best 11.5 tackles for loss, including a team-high 5.5 sacks. Plus, he had 3 deflections, a forced fumble, and a safety. He made the 2019 24/7 Sports Freshman All-American First Team and Pro Football Focus Freshman All-American Second Team. In addition, he was All Pac-12 Second Team, AP All Pac-12 Second Team, and Phil Steele All Pac-12 Second Team, while being a Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Year honorable mention. Additionally, he was also named to the 2020 watch list for the Nagurski Trophy, presented to the nation's top defensive player by the Football Writers Association of America. Osa Odigizua saw action as a starter in all 12 games last year. He finished 5th on the team in tackles with 46, leading all Bruin defensive linemen. He was tied for the team lead with 10 tackles for loss, third on the team with 3.5 sacks. He registered a season-high 9 tackles against San Diego State and was credited with at least 3 tackles in 9 games. He was tied for 11th in the Pac-12 in tackles for loss and was second-team all-conference selection by Pro Football Focus. During his time at UCLA, he's racked up 90 total tackles with 21.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks. If it wasn't for Penei Sewell being a freak of nature, Walker Little would be the consensus best offensive lineman in the Pac-12. He played in only 1 game last year as a junior, but he's ready to bounce back in what should be his final season at Stanford. In his first 2 seasons at Stanford, he was an all-Pac-12 first team and was Pac-12 Freshman Offensive Co-Player of the Year. There's a lot of hype surrounding him this season, as he's on the watch list for the Outland Trophy and is a preseason all-Pac-12 first team from Phil Steele and a preseason all-Pac-12 second team from Alphon. The Walter Camp Football Foundation has him as a preseason All-American second team. Cam Bynum earned second team all-Pac-12 honors from the league's coaches and Phil Steele as a junior last season. He was one of 7 players and 5 on the defensive side of the ball to start all 13 games for Cal last year. He was third on the team with their career-high 63 tackles, while also picking up a career-high 3 tackles for loss, in addition to his 1 interception and team highs of 9 pass breakups and 10 passes defended. Coming into the 2020 season, Bynum was named first-team preseason All-Pac-12 by John Wilner of the Bay Area News Group and was a second-team preseason All-Pac-12 pick by Alphon Sports. There are a lot of expectations for Elijah Molden this season with Washington. He was named to the preseason watch list for the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, the Jim Thorpe Award, and the William Campbell Trophy. He was named preseason All-American first team by Walter Camp and Pick 6 previews. Molden did it all for the Huskies in 2019. He had 79 tackles, including 5.5 for loss. He had 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 17 pass deflections. He was 2019 All-Pac-12 first team, 2019 Pro Football Focus All-American second team, and was the 2019 Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl MVP. A lot of people consider Max Borghi of Washington State to be Christian McCaffrey 2.0. He was named to the Doak Walker Award watch list, a preseason All-Pac-12 honorable mention, and was named Pac-12 Conference honorable mention too. He started all 13 games at running back for Wazoo last year. He rushed for 817 yards with 11 rushing touchdowns while catching a team-high 86 passes for 597 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was the only Power 5 player with 800-plus rushing yards, 550 receiving yards, and 16 total touchdowns. He became the first player in Washington State history with 10 touchdowns in each of his first 2 seasons. He finished second in the Pac-12 with 16 total touchdowns, tied for third most in Washington State's single-season history. He led all Pac-12 running backs, averaging 6.5 yards per carry, led all running backs nationally with 86 receptions, the most by a running back in Washington State history, and was tied for second most catches by any player in the Pac-12. He also led all running backs nationally with 26 missed tackles forced after the catch. Usually, Utah has some studs on their defensive line. They still do, but Brant Kuithe is one of the top tight ends in the entire country for 2020. Last year, he was Pac-12 All-Conference second team and was Pro Football Focus All-America third team. He played in all 14 games for Utah, leading the team in receptions with 34, receiving yards with 602, and receiving touchdowns with 6. He also added 6 rushes for 100 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He averaged just under 18 yards a catch, which was number 4 in the Pac-12 and was number 2 in the country among tight ends. His 9 total touchdowns tied him for first among tight ends in the FBS. Nicknamed the Hammer, he has earned various levels of All-American and Pac-12 honors over the last 2 seasons while at Colorado. He was given the team's Dave Jones Award each of the past 2 seasons, becoming the 7th player to earn that award in back-to-back seasons. Landman has 277 career tackles, 25 tackles for loss, including 6 sacks, with another 20 tackles for no gain. He also has 33 third down stops, 12 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. He's just the 6th player in Colorado history to record 250 plus tackles over a 2-year stretch. Well, that wraps it up for this first episode of the series. Who do you think the top players in the Pac-12 are? Do you think there's a player on a team better than the one I mentioned? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up as it really helps out the video and the channel. Stay tuned as we'll be breaking down the Big 12 in my next video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.